How are you feeling?
Hi, everyone. Welcome back, or just now. Welcome to One Fair Review. I am a guy named Grant that loves to watch movies. Seriously, I love to watch movies. Solo, a Han Solo story, Star Wars of Stars and Wars. Solo, a story of Star Wars. This movie, yes, I've been looking forward to this movie since never, and I've been anticipating this movie to suck hard dicks. I have not wanted to watch this movie. I didn't care to watch this movie. Went in with an open mind. By the sound of it, yes, I went in with an open mind. But let's not beat around the bush. There's a review that needs to be done, and that is Han Solo, a story of Solo, Star Wars, fuck, whatever it's called. I don't care. I don't care. Oh God, this movie. What do I even say? What do I start with? I start with everything. So the plot of this movie, if you guys do not know, is Han Solo, or Han, as he's known in the beginning. He's not named Solo yet. This is a story of how Han Solo got his last name Solo, and how he got his blaster, and how he met Chewie, and how he met Lando, and how he got the Millennium Falcon. That's the story. That's all you get. Now, obviously, the story goes more in depth than that, than you would assume, but nobody cares about that. Nobody cares about the story of Han Solo, how he became Han Solo. I mean, really, was this a good idea? Was this a good idea to make this movie? I don't think so. I don't think anybody thinks so. I don't think anybody really cared to make this. I don't think anybody cared about this movie while they were making it. I think one of the most unbelievable stories I've heard ever is the fact that this movie took $25 million to make. And then Kathleen Kennedy and Disney, I guess, and Lucasfilms, I don't know who, mostly Kathleen Kennedy, was like, we don't like this. This is not Solo. They had such little faith that they fired the directors, hired on Ron Howard, good old Ron Howard, all Opie Taylor coming back, make another film. And they shot this movie, 90% of this movie, with another $250 million. That's insane to me. That's insane to me. Can you believe that? Can you believe this movie cost $500 million to make? That it's mind-boggling to me that this movie cost that much money. And I got out of this movie theater when I was watching it with my friend who was actually excited to watch it. And I was just like, how did this take $500 million? Where did this money go? Nowhere. That's where it went. Nowhere. You know, like I can talk about the plot. The plot's pretty basic. Han Solo and the love interest Kira played Emilia Clarke. They are in love on this one planet, and Han Solo escapes. She doesn't, and he vows to come back. He joins this guy played by Woody Harrelson, who I forget his name at the moment. Oh, Beckett. There we go, Beckett. And then he meets Chewbacca, and then meets all the various characters. And then they have to do the Kessel Run, and then they get money, and then they get the Millennium Falcon. That's it. That's really it. The story is really simple. It's easy to follow. Doesn't take any twists, no turns. Actually, I guess kind of there's twists in betrayals. Literally, this movie is a betrayal left and for. It's like playing with your emotions. Like, triple betrayal, quadruple betrayal. Oh, I'm going to betray you yet again. It's like, Jesus Christ. The story is uninteresting, to say the least. The story is very uninteresting. None of the characters feel real. None of them. They just feel like they've been written down in a script, and these are just people reading lines. I never felt that this movie was genuine, because all the characters are so scripted, if that makes sense. They're all so scripted, so calculated perfectly to the next scene. They're there for the plot convenience. And it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, there's these two characters at the beginning of the movie that die, and they're supposed to have a big impact on you, even though it's like the first 25 minutes in the movie. And it's like, there's no impact because I don't know these people at all. I don't know these characters. They haven't given me a reason to care, and they're just and one of them's a comedic character. It's like, oh God, like, as if we didn't need more comedic characters in Star Wars. It's just like, there are characters in this movie that die, you're supposed to care for. I don't give a crap for, because we never get to know them, we never get to be with them. They're just there and they die, and they're supposed to be like emotional. You're supposed to be emotional, like, oh no, poor this thing. It's like, I don't care. It's kind of like Rogue One, when everybody dies at the end. It's like, who cares? We didn't know them, we didn't like them. And that's the problem with this movie. I don't like any of the characters. None of the characters are relatable. None of them you connect with. And that's a problem when you're doing this kind of a movie. This is a character-based movie. Literally, this is a character-based movie. We can't use the excuse of this is a documentary. This is supposed to be just for the action. No. This is a character-driven movie. You're supposed to care about the characters. You're supposed to want to know what happens to them at the end, but you don't, because they don't give you time to grow on them. You're not given time to know any of them. They just come in. Some of them come into the movie and then show up later at the end of the movie, and it's like, oh, I forgot you even existed. What are you doing here, by the way? What's your name? What are you? Who? Where do you come from? It's like, no answers. No answers. The only thing you know is Han, which his name is just Han in this movie. They even give a backstory for his name. For fuck's sake. His name needed a backstory, and it doesn't even make sense. He goes in, they ask him, what's your name? You want to enlist? Yes, my name's Han. Last name? I don't have one. And he's like, oh, so you're going by yourself. You're alone. Han Solo. Solo? How did this motherfucker come up with Solo? He wasn't speaking Spanish, was he? He was speaking English. Why didn't you call him Han alone? Han single? Anything but Solo. Why Solo? Why did you give him the name Solo? And to begin with, why do we need a backstory for his name? Han Solo. Do we need a backstory for Luke Skywalker? Do we need to know how he became a Skywalker? No, that's not important. That's the name. And it's stuff like this that's in this movie that drives me crazy, where it's like, it gives you like this dumb stuff, like fan servicey stuff, where it's like, this is how it happened. This is everything you want to know. It's like, I don't care. It's like, I don't care how Han Solo came to be Han Solo. Just if they were going to do this movie right, if they're going to do a prequel movie, why have it to where I have to get to know Han Solo? Like, oh, this is how he becomes Han Solo. And by the way, by the end of this movie, he feels nothing like Han Solo. It's like the complete opposite of what Han Solo would be. It's like nothing makes sense. Nothing makes sense. Even there's so much just contradiction to the characters, to Lando, to Han, not so much to Chewie. Chewie's the same. But just like with Han, it's like he's given this love interest in the movie, which I have to give this movie one bit of credit. It's the only Star Wars movie that isn't soulless, isn't in a loveless universe, because there's actually a love, like a romance, but not like that dumb romance in The Last Jedi where it's like, oh, love will save us. Nah, I'm Rose. Nah. It's like, no, nothing stupid. It's like they actually try to give you like love, passion, lust, and all that. Like just love, like an actual romance, which it doesn't work, but at least they tried. I guess I could say that. At least they tried. But it still doesn't make sense. Why is Han Solo in love in this movie? And he's like desperately in love, and then he never mentions this character in another movie. And speaking of this movie, based on this movie, I can't imagine the same character in A New Hope as they're trying to portray him. It doesn't even make sense with all this stuff that's happening. It doesn't even make sense how him and Lando were friends. I kind of just thought back to Empire and was just thinking like, oh yeah, this is an old friend of mine, Lando Calrissian. We go way back, me and him. And it's like, wait, you guys are old friends. Not based on this movie. In this movie, they barely interact. They're barely ever in the same room. And when they are, they're not really friends. They're not doing anything to help each other. It's just annoying. It doesn't show us that. And I honestly would have preferred if I had seen Lando in this movie more. Not because Donald Glover was amazing as Lando. He was okay. He was pretty good. He was the best, I guess, out of everybody. But the fact is that it would have made more sense if I seen their friendship grow, how they betrayed each other, how they scammed each other. It would have been fun to see that camaraderie between them. But instead, there's all these other characters thrown in that it's like, why are we wasting time with this stupid droid that it belongs to Lando? And speaking about this droid, which dies, I don't care if I fucking spoil the movie for you. This droid dies, it doesn't matter. This droid dies, and Lando's crying. He's like, no, please don't die. And it's like, why do you care, Lando? In Empire, Lando didn't give a crap about the droids. When he saw C-3PO, when he met him, he thought he was just machinery. He didn't care what he was. It was just a droid. And then when C-3PO was like all destroyed, he's like, oh, you need help with your droid? He doesn't see it as a sentient living being. He sees it as a droid, as a robot. He doesn't care. But in this movie, he does. He gives a lot of shits for this one robot. Oh, amazing. Thank you for this change. Disney, Lucas, Kathleen Kennedy, you're the best. It's just stuff like this. Stuff like this really hinder the movie experience. It's just like, I don't understand how they could fuck up this, what could have been just a simple story with just Han, Lando, and Chewie. It would have been fine as that. It would have been fine as a simple story with the three of them. But no, instead they decide to add in Woody Harrelson and Emilia Clarke, and as well as other characters that don't belong. They don't fit in this movie. They don't really have a purpose. And Woody Harrelson, for the most part, he's barely in the movie. He's in there, but then at the same time, he's not in there. It's like every character. I had flashbacks to the Phantom Menace, actually. I had flashbacks because there are times where it's like, who are we supposed to be following right now? Which character are we on? What is this character's goal? Or, oh, I remember this character. Now they're back in the movie. This happens constantly. Just characters are thrown around. It's a mess. It's a mess of a script. And how anybody could say that this is well written is beyond me. It is not well written. It's such a clusterfuck when it doesn't need to be. And despite, despite everything else, there's so many other complaints I have that just they make sense in the, like, why I would have them. Like the Millennium Falcon itself, like how different it looks. Granted, in this movie it gets fucked up. They explain how it gets fucked up, how it becomes a piece of garbage by the end. But it's so convenient. It's so convenient. Like, at the beginning of the movie, the ship is beautiful. It's amazing. And then by the end, it's a piece of junk because of all the hell that it's been through. It's like, why do I need to see this? Why do I need to see this? Why even change it, really, to begin with? Why? I don't get it. Why have this movie at this point? Why have it? It doesn't. It serves no purpose than to just be fan service for people to wait for the next Star Wars movie. I mean, we just saw The Last Jedi a couple months ago, and people hated that film, of course, and now people hate on this film, or maybe people love it. I don't know. Now, I've seen a lot of people say that this feels more Star Wars-y, like this feels more like a Star Wars movie than The Last Jedi. Honestly, I don't feel the same way. This did not feel like a Star Wars movie. It felt like fan fiction. So, honestly, it didn't feel Star Wars to me. It just felt like a mess. It felt like a mess of a bunch of things just thrown in at random. See what sticks. Throw this. You know what those fanboys like? They like Han Solo. Throw that. They like Lando. They like Chewie. They like the Millennium Falcon. They love this. It's like that's all it is. It's like, what do fans love? Throw it in the movie. Even like the most shameful fan service I've seen in a Star Wars movie, which I will spoil later on, but honestly, I don't recommend this movie to begin with. I don't recommend you go watch this movie. So I would say the spoilers, honestly, even if I spoil the movie, like little bits of it, you're not going to be missing much. The movie isn't like, it's not really like something where it's like, oh, if you spoil it, this experience is hindered. It's like, no, you could guess where the movie's going the entire way through. It's not surprising. There's no shock value. Unlike The Last Jedi, which, honestly, yeah, at times I was like, oh shit, I didn't know it'd go this direction, or oh, this was kind of interesting. It was a twist. It had some clever ones, even though it was too much at times, which I will admit. They had clever twists. These here aren't clever twists. It's literally betrayals. That's it. Just betrayals all around. Everybody's betraying each other. Everyone's betraying each other. I guess in a way it's kind of surprising at first, at the very first time. But then later on, it's just like, okay, you're constantly betraying each other. How am I supposed to be invested? How am I supposed to be interested at this point? There's a quadruple betrayal where it's like, I betrayed you, and now I betrayed you, and now I betrayed you, and I betrayed you again. It's like, oh my god, enough with the betraying. That's all this movie is about. And the message in this movie is probably just the most beautiful message I've ever heard. It's just, don't trust anybody. Never trust anybody. Always assume that people are going to betray you, and you'll never be disappointed. Which, that's an interesting line, and there are some interesting things about it, but the movie itself isn't interesting, and the characters aren't likable enough where it's like, yeah, it's like, no, it's like they're not likable. And this is a Han Solo movie with Chewbacca and Lando. I'm supposed to like these characters, but the actors, it's not that the actors are bad. I'm going to say that right now. The both of the actors, Donald Glover and Hayden, or whatever his name is, who played Han Solo, they're not bad actors, neither of them. Or maybe they were back then, and then after the acting coach, they flew in. I don't know. They're not bad. They're not horrible. Donald Glover, especially, at times, he does have the mannerisms of Lando Calrissian, and he does have that sort of charm and charisma. And even at times when I wasn't paying attention, like I just heard his voice, I was like, oh, that does sound like Billy Dee Williams. At times, not all the time. And then as for Solo, he has some mannerisms, some looks, some the way he phrases things, the way he structures his sentences. It's like, okay, that is very Harrison Ford, but the problem is it's never there. Even though they have some things going down, it just feels like somebody doing an impression. It never feels like the real deal, like we're supposed to think it is. It just feels like an impression, and that's frustrating as all hell to watch. The movie is frustrating because you don't really care about anybody, and the thing is, you're supposed to care. The only thing that feels Star Warsy about this movie is Chewbacca. I'm going all over the place. Were there things that I liked about this movie? A few things. Some, like I said, the mannerisms of Han Solo, the guy did kind of do a good job. Donald Glover as Lando, at times he does feel kind of like Donald Glover. He kind of seems like Lando. I will say the costume design in this movie is actually quite spectacular. It looks great. I guess I kind of liked how cramped the hallways were. It was never this big in scale movie. It was very cramped, very small scaled. I guess I liked the look of the movie in space. There was a lot of space shots, a lot of going inside planets, which I thought looked beautiful, unlike the last Star Wars movies. It did look pretty. That's really it. These are just kind of things sprinkled throughout the movie. They're not all the time, and these are little things too. It's just little details that really I kind of enjoyed. And the thing is, little details are important to a film, but the thing is, when the film itself isn't good or isn't enjoyable to watch, then those little details cease to matter, and you just get a frustrating film that it's just hard to watch at times. It's like embarrassing to watch. It's pathetic to watch at times. I haven't felt this frustrated. I haven't felt this frustrated watching a movie since Batman versus Superman. I have to be honest. I haven't felt this frustrated watching a movie since I've seen Batman versus Superman or X-Men Apocalypse. This movie was frustrating to watch. It wasn't really boring. The movie wasn't boring, although it felt like it lasted forever. It was so long. It did not need to be that long. It wasn't boring though. It's just that this movie is frustrating to watch. And I swear, the spoiler I was telling everybody about, Darth Maul shows up in this movie for 20 seconds, and he plays No role in this movie. There are two ways that this could go. Number one, if you have no idea who the fuck Darth Maul is, if you have no idea who he is, you haven't seen the prequels, then he serves no purpose but confusion, because you're thinking to yourself, why are they focusing on this guy? Who is he? What is his position? What is he doing here? What's wrong with his legs? What's wrong with his face? What is this guy? Because they don't explain anything to you. They just show Darth Maul for 20 seconds talking. And then number two, if you do know the character, like if you're familiar with him, you're just kind of wondering, why is he here? Just to please fans? Just to show fans, oh yeah, Darth Maul is still here. We might do a movie about him. Dear God, don't do another movie. I swear, this is going to be horrible. To end this review, the Star Wars fatigue has really hit me. It's been 4 years straight with a Star Wars movie every year. I'm honestly getting kind of bored of it. I've gotten tired of it. I even know people, fellow critics, friends, family. I know people who have gotten bored of it now. What Disney's doing, honestly, and what Kathleen Kennedy, what they're doing is horrible, in my opinion. I think what they're doing is terrible. They are taking this brand and they are just milking it dry till it stops making money. And that's so scummy. That is so scummy to me, and I can't believe that this is happening. Never, when I was a kid watching, Empire, I never thought to myself that there's going to be a day when Star Wars sequels that are coming out, I'm going to get tired of them. I never thought that, because I was like, I love Star Wars. I love Star Wars a lot. I'm a huge fan. But now here I am, just bored and sick of these movies. I don't even care to own them anymore. Not since The Force Awakens, which I did buy The Force Awakens on 3D, and I still like that movie too. But I never bought Rogue One. I never bought The Last Jedi. Mainly because I just didn't feel like owning them. It's sad, but it's true. And this movie was a failure. I think I hated this movie. I couldn't really find anything really redeemable about it. It was not that enjoyable. It was just not that enjoyable. I didn't like it. It's not worth it. I don't recommend it. My final verdict for Han Solo, a Star Wars solo movie about stars and wars solo story, is a very unenthusiastic 4 out of 10. This movie isn't terrible. It's not awful, but it's below average entertainment. I don't think this is a fun movie to watch. I was bored during the action scenes. They weren't that interesting. I didn't like the characters. I wasn't invested. There was really nothing for me to like. And from the most part, the theater was pretty dead too. And this was a Friday too. This was a Friday night, and the theater had nobody in it. There was like a few people. I was kind of shocked. This movie might bomb. Oh man, imagine that. Kathleen Kennedy managed to bomb a Star Wars movie. What a fucking fail. Oh my God. What a fail. Anyways, did you see Han Solo, a Star Wars movie? I think that's how you say it. If you did, let me know in the comments down below. Did you love it, hate it, neutral towards it, whatever, just leave it down. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you next time on another review. And as always, have a nice day.